Thank you, Marie. We'll look forward to the stories. I do want to emphasize going through that I think this real question of whether income translates to nutrition is one that I think is something worth bringing back to the panel. But for the panelists, so we're being asked whether this marriage is working. Do you agree that the marriage is working? What are you seeing where you work? Do you have any suggestions to strengthen the marriage? Are all the guests at the wedding? And do we need someone else there who we didn't invite? Do you see policy and knowledge gaps, and how are we thinking about filling them? After the brief intro for each of you, I'm going to ask each of you to begin by telling us where you think the marriage stands. Is agriculture and nutrition nodding and sort of waving at each other from opposite sides of the street? Are they dating? Are they married? Or dare I even say that they don't even recognize each other? Okay? So you each will have 3 minutes, and Howdy, I'm going to start with you, and of course I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction. It's a delight to introduce you. Since 1993, you've of course been the visionary behind Harvest Plus and biofortification. A few of us knew Howdy before Harvest Plus and biofortification. He's been at IFPRI since 1980. I'm not going to finish the 82, okay. You also must have been a child prodigy like the rest of us. So that's back when you were an economist looking at food demand and nutrition. I believe some of your seminal work was in the Philippines, actually, with others in the room here. But from where I sat on the 8th floor, you were one of those researchers on the 4th floor in the food consumption and nutrition division that always used to go for a run at lunch. But Howdy, so where do you think the marriage stands? Having developed and championed one of the few technologies that actually has modified agriculture, and on where agriculture stands, what do you think is still needed? What are some of the policy and key partnership questions going forward? Are we nodding, dating, married, or do we not even recognize each other?
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Where does the marriage stand? Well, I'd contend that ever since agriculture took over from hunting and gathering, agriculture and nutrition have been married. Agriculture has been and will continue to be the main source of minerals and vitamins and essential compounds for good nutrition and so for good health. So they have been married. But after being married for a couple thousand years, they've lost the ability to communicate until recently. I think IFPRI has done a lot as a marriage counselor to start the communication going again. Let me focus on one problem, and that and Maximo set that up very nicely by showing the decline in food prices over time. That's one of my pet peeves, because they say food, we talk about food prices, and that's actually food staple prices. What I want to emphasize here is the prices of vegetables, fruits, animal and fish products, the non-staple foods in the diet. They've been increasing over the past 40 years. They've doubled over the past 40 years. So dietary quality has become much more expensive for the poor. The price of vitamin A has been going up. The price of iron has been going up. The price of zinc has been going up. And those deficiencies are all major public health problems. So that's the problem. Two big parts of the solution, I think, are we have to improve the productivity of non-staple foods. We've done a lot to improve the productivity of cereals. That's why the prices have come down. We have to do the same things for vegetables and fruits and animal products. And also we have to do things along the value chain, because a lot of those products are perishable. So there are special needs in terms of improving the value chain. That's the first thing. The second thing is we can do a lot to put more minerals and vitamins in the staple food crops. And of course that's biofortification. So to me, those are two big parts of the solution. What's the way forward? I think for the CGIR, we have to mainstream breeding for minerals and vitamins in their programs. And I think the CGIAR has to get much more involved in making sure that its technologies are scaled up. They may not do the scaling up, but they have to work very closely with partners to motivate the scaling up, and I don't think we've done enough of that in the past. The way forward for agricultural policy, I think we have to document the successes of those parts of the agricultural sector that improve nutrition, the specific activities, but also the failures. If some things aren't improving nutrition, we have to name those and do less of those things as well. Then finally, for the nutrition community, they have to create demand for dietary quality. They're already doing a lot of that, educating people that dietary quality is necessary. But in my mind, that includes also creating demand for biofortified crops, for food staples that have more minerals and vitamins. Finally, the second thing for the nutrition community is to put political pressure on the agricultural sector to implement what I call nutrition smart activities. I don't like this term nutrition sensitive. We talk about climate smart agriculture. We should talk about nutrition smart agriculture. And the nutrition community needs to put political pressure on the agricultural sector to implement those policies.